If you're looking for a job, it can seem like everything requires 3 to 5 years of experience. In fact, experience can be the crucial factor in who gets hired and who doesn't. Employers love experience.
Interns, it's not about what you're going to learn this summer, my friends. It's going to be who you meet. Please understand as you go into this internship, maximize networking, shake hands, kiss babies.
According to a 2012 study by the National Association of Colleges and Employers, 59% of businesses hired their paid interns as new full-time employees. This may be why 65% of 25 to 32-year-olds in the labor force said more work experience while in school would have helped them get the job they wanted.
If you're an intern, please understand, it is the human connections that you're going to make. Way too many people roll in and think they're going to learn something about advertising or marketing or media or startups. You're not. And if you do, it's just this much. It's 3% of the equation. Please attack the other 97. Go to every after-hours event. Say hello to everybody.
Internships can really improve your employability regardless of what you're majoring in. In fact, a recent Auburn University study showed that interning in a career field could be even more important than majoring in that field when it comes to getting a job interview.
This is Good in the Hood podcast. Our conversation today is with Sean Morrison, the Executive Director of Good in the Hood and Senior Pastor of Cedar Crest Free Methodist Church.
Sean, Good in the Hood has always had its hand and pulse on the needs of people in the Twin Cities. And one of the things I really like is the fact that when I talk to you, you usually come up with a story that's very heartwarming, but it describes pretty much what Good in the Hood does. And let's talk about Ricardo for just a moment, because Ricardo's story helped you process a little differently how you buy food. Tell us that.
Yeah, Larry, that was a very heart-wrenching story, frankly. Ricardo came to me and was at our food shelf, Food in the Hood in Bloomington. He's a disabled man, has 2 daughters, they're teenagers, and his wife was no longer with them, and so it was a single father trying to raise them and couldn't get a job. So he was using the food shelf and kind of embarrassed to do so, but came to me and he goes, Sean, he said, I want to thank you for this food shelf. It means so much to be able to feed my kids. He says, but I do have to say to you, he goes, it would be helpful if you would consider my case, he said, when you order your food. And I said, well, what do you mean, Ricardo? He says, well, he's trying to raise my daughters. I want to feed them well. He says, I want to make sure they always have a hot meal. He said, but I can't even afford to fix my oven and my stove that broke. He said, and so we're cooking all this food on a hot pit, on a fire pit outside. He said, and a lot of it that you are buying and given to us doesn't work on that. He said, if you could get food that we could cook outside, like on a grill, that would really be wonderful, he said. And it made me do some thinking, and I realized as I did a little bit more investigation, there are a lot of people like this. Some people are homeless, living in motels, and all they have is a hot plate and a microwave oven. And so it influenced the way I ordered food so that I would be more sensitive to make food that was available to be prepared in a very user-friendly manner. You have a guest with you today, Cole Gugesberg, is that correct? Cole, you've been working alongside Good in the Hood and Sean for the last 3 months or so, and I know you must have had stories that really touched your heart based on what you were doing as an intern. Do you have something that makes sense to you that kind of allowed your heart to be open to people in a way that perhaps it wasn't before?
Yeah, absolutely. So one experience I really remember is through their Shoe Away Hunger program. They have a bus that goes around to different areas of need and sells shoes to people, whoever would like them. So one experience was a mother came on the bus and we started talking to her, and she said she was looking for shoes for her 7 kids. And she was just so overjoyed that she could buy shoes for all of her kids at a cheaper price than even one pair, at a store. And we started thinking about it, me and Seth, and, we discussed how that money that she saved could either go towards school supplies or food on the table for her kids, or just a shared experience she can have with her kids later on.
So what did that make you feel like? Once you found that there was this successful exchange to this mother and her family, what did you feel inside?
I was just overjoyed, the fact that we could have that positive impact on her and her family. That long-lasting, putting shoes on their feet, helping these kids, go through life, but also giving them that chance to do something on top of that.
And Sean, that's one of the things I think that the next step internship is really very valuable for college students because, in college you learn a lot from the books or the computers or whatever, but here's the heart education. And so something that you're providing for students like Cole is just invaluable.
Absolutely. We really felt this was an important program program for us to be able to fulfill our mission. You said it really well, Larry. Sometimes people come to us and they've got great education that's coming from teachers and they do a wonderful job, but they don't have the experience. I always like to use the analogy, you don't learn to swim by reading a book. You got to get in the water. This is our version of getting people into the water, helping them to move forward, and not only helping themselves, but they help themselves by helping others. And so when Cole referenced the Shoe Away Hunger program, we offer wonderful, gently used and new shoes for $5 suggested donation. These are sometimes $100 pair, $200 pair of shoes, and we must realize that the poor like name brand things too. They don't want a lesser quality. And so how do we give dignity to the poor? And how do we teach interns and those that are affiliated with our program, volunteers, to serve people in the same manner they would like to be served? That's what we believe offers dignity, and it gives our interns a sense of purpose and significance so they can go forward with that same spirit and hopefully be community changers.
Cole, you've done internships, I take it, with other organizations in business.
Yes.
How is this one different with the nonprofit?
When it comes to business internships or business jobs, it's about product output or making that top dollar. We're in a nonprofit. Yes, your aim is to still make money, but it's for a different reason. You're taking that money and you're turning around and giving it back to the community through the forms of goods and services, So the ultimate goal of Good in the Hood is, to spread intentional acts of kindness and help others and change lives for the better. Completely different mindset from my perspective. Like I said, instead of the goal being profit, it's people.
Cole, you've had some interesting comments about Good in the Hood and the whole heart aspect of a nonprofit. But let's talk about you personally. Mm-hmm. How has it benefited you now, but also in the future, you moving forward in your life?
I'd say ultimately, it's given me the ability to catch a glimpse of other people's situations and perspectives and their experiences. I was able to interact with a wide variety of people, and it was really interesting and eye-opening for me. I gained a lot of people skills, a lot of communication skills throughout this internship, and it helped me redefine what's important to me, not only as a career, but for myself. And I think that has had a huge impact on my future career goals. It's rather than just finding that job that maybe pays the most or something like that. Now it's more, okay, how can I make a difference? How can I do something that's going to benefit, not just me and my family in the future, but community and the people around me.
Sean, as you began to do this ministry, did it help you understand the poor better? Were you somewhat at a loss for words sometimes when you're dealing with the poor? Has it helped you level the playing field when you're dealing with poverty, that you can talk to it and not have it influence you in any way?
Absolutely. I'll never forget, I was sitting at our church one day, and it was actually December 23rd, I believe, quite a few years ago, and a father and his pregnant daughter came to our church asking for housing, and I didn't know what to do. I was helpless. It reminded me of the story in the Bible of Joseph and Mary, and there's no room at the inn as she was pregnant with the baby Jesus. And the innkeeper said, there's no room. And I felt like the innkeeper. And it dramatically impacted me. I'm going, I don't know what to do to help somebody in need. And so I made it my business to start to know what to do. In this case, hunger relief, and know how to refer people, and to be able to understand the mindset of poverty. There's a difference between situational poverty, somebody who went through a crisis but really thinks like a middle-class person, and they plan their life, versus generational poverty where they're in the moment. Those who are in generational poverty never plan for retirement. They never buy on credit. They don't live that way, so they don't plan their life by a calendar. They're in the moment, and that's a big distinction. And so when I now work with the poor, I have to distinguish between generational, situational poverty and how I'm going to get around them and be able to contribute to a better future for them. And instead of doing for them, I like to say we like to do with them.
I'd say it's definitely changed my mindset about what I think about who go to food shelves or who live in poverty.
So, Cole, you've had this experience. You've got your undergraduate degree behind you. What's next?
So I just accepted a position in a graduate program at U of M. So I'll be working with Dr. Rue, and we will be working on molecular nutrition, more specifically iron and zinc. Iron deficiency is the number one deficiency in the world, not even just developing countries, but developed as well. So to be able to maybe take a small step forward to eliminating that, that's a huge goal of mine.
Sean, for more information, if somebody is listening and they would like to follow in the steps of someone like Cole, how do they get more information?
Well, they can learn more about our Next Steps internship program by going to our website, and that's www.goodinthehood.org, or they can send us an email at info@goodinthehood.org and ask for information. We'll send them a packet and an application with some details around that.
Helping others and changing lives is at the heart of Good in the Hood. If you'd like to know more about this value-driven organization, please visit goodinthehood.org.